Hi my loves and welcome back. We're carrying on with the limited palette dominant hue paintings today. I don't know if I can call it Huevember since it's not November and I'm using more than one colour, but I definitely need a shorter name for it. But yeah, after the last video I felt really pumped to keep going with these. Please do check out that last video if you haven't seen it. It'll kind of explain everything about what I'm doing and why and where the paints came from and all that. The comments on that video were such a treat to read through as well. Lots of people being really open and sharing their art fears, and as always it's really encouraging for me to see that we're all pretty much feeling the same things, being afraid to start a painting because we know it won't turn out how we want it to. A few people thought I was being too hard on myself, which is really sweet, but I don't really see it like that, and I hope it didn't come across as self-deprecating when I talk about bad art, and I always put bad in quotation marks because it all depends on how you look at it. I usually just mean bad compared to what I had hoped for, and when I talk about that work or making mistakes, I'm not doing it from a place of judgment. I think it's important to be able to see flaws in your work objectively and just use them as a starting point for learning and improving. So yeah, whenever I talk about things going wrong or not particularly liking a piece of work I've made, I might be disappointed that I've spent time on something that hasn't turned out how I wanted, but I'm never being down on myself or hard on myself about it, and I hope you guys can see it that way when I do express these things. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging that you've not delivered your best work, especially when you're talking about using painting practice to hone in on weak skill areas and put time into working on them. Anyway, with this first painting I had these lovely pinks to work with, and my first thought was to paint trees in blossom. I thought about where I felt I'd gone wrong with my last painting, and I made a conscious effort to really simplify this one and use a few broad shapes to tell the whole story. So instead of painting individual trees, I just suggested a forest with one area of darker colour, and that's another thing I was trying to really work on this time, really making the most of changes in value to make one area stand out from another. I paid more attention to laying in simple shapes to start and then layering on top to add more character and texture. This one wasn't a total knockout for me, but I felt a lot happier and a lot closer to delivering the image that I'd initially had in my head onto paper. Next we're working with purples, and this colour palette was a surprise favourite for me. There are a couple of colours that I used here that I want to use now every day for the rest of my life. They're just that beautiful, mainly the quinacridone violet and mineral violet. The two main colours that I used in this painting, they just have such beautiful quality to them as a paint, really multi-tonal, lots of subtle shifts into more of an indigo-y undertone, and the way they behave when they come into contact with water. These were a really lucky choice for a cloud painting, as the paints have such an ethereal and fluid nature to them, just like clouds do. As with last time, I was spurred on with a lot more confidence this time round, and I had a really clear idea in my mind of what I wanted from this painting. And excuse the noise if you can hear that in the background, I'm sure you can. I decided to record this voiceover in my bedroom today, which happens to be the noisiest room in the house, but hopefully you can still hear what I'm saying. Anyway, I just followed my gut, and what I ended up with was something that I really liked. This one is definitely my favourite so far, colour-wise and stylistically. One little cheat is that I mainly used 3 of the 4 colours and sneaked bright violet in only in the top right hand corner, but hey, it's my challenge, so my rules. I was trying something new with each painting, seeing what worked and what didn't, and with this one I really wanted to spend more time layering. It takes a little bit more thought and planning, figuring out what goes where first and what needs to be dry before you can go on over it, but I think it worked out quite effectively in this case. This last one is a coral reef. I was mainly looking forward to using the lush dark indigo that you'll see right at the end. It has such a depth to it, and I thought it would be perfect for depicting under the sea. I think this is the best one in terms of keeping it simple, though the clouds are still my favourite overall. It was interesting to find out your opinions from the last video, as you clearly all see things differently to me, and a different point of view can be so refreshing, so I'd love to hear what you think. I personally can see where I'm improving, and that's really encouraging. Hopefully I can stay intentional in the way I'm working, keep paying attention to maybe where I'm going off track and how I can get closer to the work that I want to be making. What's fun about this challenge is that there's really no pressure for me. I'm making some fun, basic, colourful paintings just to see what happens. And that reminds me, a couple of people have messaged me asking if these will be available as prints. I really do like the idea of selling them all as a set in the end. I think it would be cool to have like a rainbow of prints on the wall, but for now I don't really want to think about it like that. I don't want to go into these paintings with the idea that they're going to end up as a product, because I think that that'll limit me in my experimentation, you know, just wanting to do it perfectly so it's something worth selling. So thank you to the people that have expressed interest in having this work in print. I'm definitely not saying no, I'm just saying that I'm not saying yes yet. I'm going to keep working on these for me and sharing the journey with you guys, and we'll see what we end up with when it's all done. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me again. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you soon for the next one. Bye.